Judiciary Committee. He was the lead prosecutor in the second impeachment trial of President Trump, and he joins me now. Congressman, what are you thinking about on this day today?
A lot of the same stuff you were just talking about, Chris. You know, we're dealing with a guy who mobilizes violence to his political ends completely outside of the law. And we saw that on January 6th, 5 years ago, and we're seeing it in Venezuela, and they're promising to be doing it other places. I do think that you give them too much credit almost when you use the language of imperialism, or people have been talking about climate change. Obviously, there's no, I mean, not climate change, of regime change. There's obviously no regime change taking place in Venezuela. He doesn't care any more about the people of Venezuela than he cares about the people of America. And imperialism, you know, as hateful as the project was, at least had the redeeming pretense that it was going to do something for the whole country. Donald Trump doesn't even pretend like this is going to do something for anybody other than the oil companies and him and his family, and everybody knows that's what it's about. So after spending his first year in office basically plundering the American economy, ruining large parts of our government, imposing these ruinous tariffs, now he's turning his attention to the rest of the world. But we should view it as an exercise in gangster state politics. And if he's got a problem with this or that fellow gangster like Maduro, well, the mob bosses always get into fights all over the world, but there's no moral difference there.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. And I think, you know, it's a fine line between imperialism and a smash and grab at a global scale. One way of understanding imperialism is that, but it's a smash and grab, what's happening, as was what they tried on January 6th with a smash and grab, like quite literally, like break in the door, take a thing, in this case, the presidency of the United States. In the case of Venezuela, an incredible detail in all this, when you talk about the oil companies, is it's a smash and grab in which within the span of 72 hours, it's gone from we're taking the oil to it's probably going to take a lot of money and investment, and we're going to subsidize the oil companies. We're going to pay the oil companies to take the Venezuelan oil.
And that's why I'm saying it doesn't even have the virtues of traditional imperialism, because the corporate class that would putatively benefit from it is not behind it. He's going to have to bribe them in order to create his conglomerates with Donald Trump Jr. and other members of the family and the people who he's really determined to benefit. And obviously there's nothing in it for the Venezuelan people other than the removal of Maduro, which admittedly has some benefits, but who knows what's going to take place in that country now. And Donald Trump would be the last person they would want to entrust their fortunes to.
There was a consensus, a brief one 5 years ago. Not that brief, actually. It was, I think it was a acute, pervasive, ubiquitous, shared consensus across almost everyone, other than basically Donald Trump and the people that broke into the Capitol, that was a shameful, dark, horrific transgression. Donald Trump has sort of undone that. And I think we can all despair of a social consensus like that ever reforming about Donald Trump. Do you think it's possible that it could ever reform, that we could ever encounter a moment when everyone understands precisely what they understood in that moment 5 years ago when they were watching this unfold?
Oh, it will reform very quickly as soon as he's off the stage, as soon as he's in jail or, you know, gone to his eternal reward or whatever. The minute he's gone, all of the facts, 100% of the facts are on one side. They haven't laid a glove on a single statement in the January 6th Select Committee report. We've got documentary after documentary, and a lot of them are excellent, that demonstrate precisely what happened. And you've got Jack Smith's testimony now also saying that there is no doubt that it could be proven beyond a reasonable doubt for every element of the indicted offenses that Donald Trump was guilty. So, you know, some people have said, can you really blame him for all of the violence? None of the violence would have happened without Donald Trump. He was the one who got the groups to change the permit dates on the rallies from January 20th. They were going to rally as a counter-inaugural thing to January 6th. He was the one who said, we're going to march to the White House. He was the one who said, be there, you know, we'll be wild. He was the one who said to Mike Pence, you know, you've got to return the Electoral College votes from the swing states, and, you know, history will record you as a patriot or as a pussy. I mean, he was the mastermind and the ringleader of the entire conspiracy.
The website posted today, you know, a sort of predictably deranged counter story of January 6th. I mean, it was all the, you know, precisely the kind of nonsense that you would see pulled from like a sort of unwell person in the bowels of the internet. This is, I want to read you one part about the pardons. With his triumphant return to the White House, he wasted no time righting one of the darkest wrongs in modern history, issued sweeping pardons and commutations for the vast majority of January 6 defendants. By the way, I think it was all of them. Patriotic citizens who've been viciously overcharged, denied due process, and held as political hostages by a vengeful regime. You are confident, more confident than I am, that the judgment of history will be what your committee and what your impeachment proceeding produced rather than that nonsense. Yes?
Well, yes. Dozens of the people that he's pardoned have already gone out and committed other crimes. I mean, dozens and dozens of crimes have been committed since January 6th by the perpetrators. We're talking about child sex abuse, child pornography, trafficking, rape, you know, domestic invasion, you name it. And he's going to have to pay the political price for that, and anybody who defends him is. But there is no counter story to what actually happened. This was the most documented, videotaped, and photographed mass criminal event in the history of the world. And so we have a near perfect record of what exactly happened. And all they've got is colliding conspiracy theories. On the one hand, they say, well, this day was a great day of revolutionary resistance to the deep state, like 1776. Then in the same breath, they say, and it was all set up by Antifa. Those were all Antifa fighters. Well, then he pardoned 1,600 Antifa fighters. I mean, none of it makes any sense. It's utterly incoherent.
Congressman Jamie Raskin, I thought of you today because I think it was today Trump was musing. It's always occurred to me that one of the reasons he's so obsessed with the midterms isn't because he cares about Republicans controlling the House or wants to pass legislation. He's very terrified of a third impeachment. He verbalized that today, that's the reason he's invested in the midterms. And I think there's something to that that hangs over him, partly because of the work that you did after January 5th. Congressman Jamie Raskin, thank you very much.
Hey, they say the third time's the charm, so who knows?
We'll see. Stranger things have happened. Coming up, why Americans hate Donald Trump's increasingly deranged policies. Senator Chris Murphy joins me next.
Dry eye.
The whole infrastructure is still in place. To Beth's point, is it possible that there would actually be change in Venezuela beyond just paying fealty to the U.S. and with oil?
I think it's that they are going to do. People is still there. I think it's very difficult to trust that they are going to do the administration's bidding on this.
Beth, I mean, can American oil companies run large operations and invest, you know, large amounts of money to upgrade operations in Venezuela without security guarantees from the U.S.?